Now available for the first time in paperback. Stop Simping in the Workplace. Men, learn what you need to know in order to protect your job from workplace predators with Stop Simping in the Workplace. Available in paperback at online booksellers everywhere. There's a big difference between a manager and a leader. And I learned the big difference between the two when I first started looking for my first serious job back in 1994. Now, in 1994, I graduated at the top of my class in college, and I was out there looking for my first job, and I had a hard time trying to even get an interview from many places because the only way I knew how to get jobs was through the newspaper because I didn't have that many contacts. And one of my family members told me about this messenger job where I could make some money while I tried to find that first serious job. And I went down to this place down on Reed Street to apply for this messenger position. And I ran into one of these emotional males. And this guy was all agitated and upset as I was trying to fill out the application. He was acting really melodramatic and emotional. And as I was trying to work with this guy, he was just all angry and frustrated, and he was trying to tell me that I would need two photos for the messenger's IDs and to have some working money like $10. And I was listening to the guy, and he thought I wasn't listening to him, but I was listening to him. I was paying attention to him. And after we had set things up for me to come back tomorrow, the next day, he decides after I leave to go call my mother. Now, when he called my mother, that was one of the most unprofessional things an human resource individual could do. It was just extremely unprofessional. If you do not want the individual to work for you, you let them know that they just aren't going to work for you right there. But this guy decides to go behind my back, call my mother, and then he tells my mother I was acting quote unquote retarded and that people would take advantage of me. And when he did that, he showed, again, how unprofessional he was in the situation. And I decided, I was just going to go get these photos done and come back and try to take this job because I needed the money and I really wanted to work. But what I learned from that experience was there's a big difference between a manager and a leader. A manager, again, is someone who they just want to have the power of the position where they can hire and fire people and control situations, but they don't want to take responsibility over the individuals who work for them. A leader is someone who wants to take charge of a situation and then they want to take responsibility for the people who work for them. And the lesson I learned from that experience with that messenger service was I wanted to be a leader. A leader is someone who inspires others, motivates others, and then makes efforts to support others in the workplace. Especially when it comes down to men, as I see it, it's important for a man to take the lead and support another man, especially a young, inexperienced man. Now, when I was 22, that was the kind of guy I was. I was a young, unseasoned guy with not much experience. And what a leader would do in that situation is they would say, look, this guy doesn't know much, and it's up to me to try to give this guy support and guidance as they start their journey into the workplace. And that's what I would like to do for a lot of the young guys out there. And that's one of the reasons why I go out of my way to write books like the Simp series and books like Stop Simping in the Workplace, is because I remember being 22 years old and entering the job market and not knowing much about anything and thinking about this guy deciding instead of trying to help me out, he's going to try to humiliate me and disrespect me. And I don't want to do that to another man out here. And that's why I go out of my way to write those books, because I want those guys to have guidance. I want those guys to have support. And I want those guys out there to know that there is someone who has been out there who is willing to help them and not somebody who's willing to just sit there and watch you fall. And this is one of the big problems as it relates to males these days, is that these beta males, they don't want to help another man. They would rather try to trip another man up, sabotage another man, and instead of saying, look, this is a young guy, he doesn't have much experience, and this is my opportunity to go out here and teach that man what he needs to know so he can keep this job. And then if he moves forward, then that's cool with me, because what happens is that reflects good on me, because it said that I, as a man, went out of my way to help that man get those first steps towards going towards the next level. Unfortunately, what I see with a lot of these males out here is that they get extremely jealous of another man, and then instead of trying to help that other man move ahead and move his life ahead, they wind up making efforts to trip him up. And I saw that back in 2000 when I was working at AmeriCorps Vista for the Strive East Harlem Employment Service. And there I saw the jealousy of males who didn't want to take the lead. Now, as I was working at AmeriCorps Vista, I was a project coordinator trying to help them increase their resources to help them increase their resources so they could expand to reach the homeless population with their job readiness program. And as I was working there, I ran into the jealousy of two of these beta males. And one beta male wanted to try to trip me up in the first couple of months by trying to get me to push me into doing outreach I wasn't ready to do, because the outreach coordinator, he said he was going to Baltimore, but this guy's going to sit there and insist that I go out and do outreach. And then he just kept pushing and being difficult. And I was this close to resigning until the CEO came and decided to diffuse things. Now, I was continuing to do a great job, and people were praising me, and so many people were praising me, and I thought I was this close to getting hired at Strive. But I go to lunch with this vice president, and then I see his jealousy because he gave me an assignment to go to one of these schools in Harlem. He asked me to write a memo for him, and he found out that I could really write a solid memo. He didn't understand I was a professional writer, so I could write a solid memo. But then he said that, you were the first guy to ever adapt to their academy training and just had no issues. And they'd really, then after all the things he said that were positive about me, he said I had no place for me in his organization. And I believe the reason why he had no place for me in his organization was due to his jealousy of the fact that I was able to adapt to their training, and then I was also able to write that memo to the point where it was on a level higher than many of the people he gave that same assignment to. And the fact that I appeared to be smarter than him, who had a Juris Doctorate degree, and the other guy who had a master's degree, that really, I think it irked them, and that's why they had no place for me in their organization. They felt that they were jealous of me, and they didn't want me to come up to they felt that I was on the same level as they were, or even above their level, so they decided they had no place for me in their organization. Now, I look at that again and I say to myself, I don't get jealous of other men. When I'm in the business workplace, I don't get jealous of other men, and I don't look to try to sabotage other men who have other skills or better skills than I have. I look at that as an asset, and I look at trying to protect the assets in my organization. If I had an organization and there was a guy with it had looked like he had potential and talent, I'm gonna take that guy and I'm gonna try to give him the support he needs so that he can be an asset to my organization and help profit me. I'm not gonna kick him out there, which is what this guy decided to do to me, because I'm working against myself. And a year later, this same guy who decided he had no place for me in his organization was out of that same organization a year later. And now, if he had taken the time to work with me, maybe he would have been able to keep himself in the organization. But his ego got in the way, and his whole view of people got in the way, and he wound up tripping over himself and falling over because he didn't think about being a leader of men, or a supporter of men, or a leader of people to help move them ahead so that he could move ahead as well. When you're a leader, you're thinking about making sure that those people remain motivated, those people remain passionate, and you're looking to help them help the organization. But a lot of these guys, they get caught up in their feelings, and they get caught up in feeling threatened by someone, and that's really their insecurities coming to the surface regarding things. Instead of them looking to help this guy, helping a guy who's inexperienced or a guy who's young actualize his potential and help build the organization, what they're looking for is somebody looking for a way to trip that guy up, and looking for guys who are less than what they feel like and will elevate them to a high level, instead of looking towards being a leader who helps develop talent and helps talent actualize its potential. Now, as a leader, I would be the kind of guy who says, look, this guy is young, he's young, he's got a lot of talent, he's got a lot of potential. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to develop that. I'm going to try to give this guy a job so that they can be an asset to me and they can be an asset to this organization. And if they leave, but at least they learned something from me that helped them. And this is what men do. A man takes himself out of the equation and says, look, this guy really needs help. This guy needs guidance. And if this guy wants to come here and he wants to learn, then I want to help them learn more so that they can move forward in their life. Because a man understands this when it comes down to the job market. He understands that he is, as if he's a leader, he is there to motivate and inspire others. And he's not worried about somebody taking his job. And he's not jealous of another man because jealousy is a female trait. And I always said to myself about all these guys who sat there and talked about he's going to get taken advantage of, he's going to get manipulated. They don't see how they get manipulated by these females on this job. Now, when it comes down to many of these employers I would run into, they would say in the beginning, oh, he's going to get taken advantage of, he doesn't have much experience. But then they'll go out here and hire a female with no experience at all, put them in their front desk or their reception desk, and then what this female will do is this female will start coming in late. This female will not turn in work on time, or when she does turn in work, it'll be of poor quality. And these females will do things that take advantage of this boss, like taking many days off and taking time off that's really disrupts the business's flow. But these guys won't see how that female is taking advantage of them, but they'll sit there and tell me that I'm the guy they don't want to hire because they feel like I'm going to get taken advantage of. But they don't sit there and see this female literally running them into the ground with her constant lateness, her constant absences, and her unprofessional behavior and her poor quality work. They'll sit there and give all of that a pass, but they won't give a guy like me an opportunity to try to learn something about that organization or learn the skills that I would need to be a better employee in that organization. And when I look at it, I say to myself, the man is a bit more trainable in a job and will last longer in that job than the female. But these guys will sit here and take the risk on the female, not understanding that when you take a risk on the female, she's going to quit in 3 to 6 months because she's not happy. Meanwhile, the male, yes, he may get a little angry sometimes, he may get a little frustrated sometimes, but he's going to hang in there if he's a man of character. And you can teach that man to learn about the business as you go along. And eventually, what there's going to be is that that man at the end of the day is going to be more grateful to you for taking that moment to pull him to the side and help him out than these females out here, because that man is going to think about those lessons and life experiences he got from another man, and he's going to appreciate that moment that man took an opportunity to take a chance on him, and that the opportunity that man took to help prepare him to be a better worker in the workplace. That's the way I always saw it. Unfortunately, many employers these days, they never saw it that way, and they never really wanted to take that type of risk on me. And that's what really frustrates me about the American job market. American employers, for most cases, they'll sit there and say, oh, we want good workers, but they don't understand you have to invest in good workers. You can take a young talent that's fresh out of college with a degree, and you can turn that into a great worker if you take the time to go out here and support that individual and help them work through their mistakes, help them learn through their mistakes, and help them develop the business skills in order to move ahead. Unfortunately, we have so many beta males in management. They're too busy playing it safe, and they would rather try to sabotage men rather than try to build men up. Not understanding that every female you give a job to, they don't build an organization. All they do is suck it out of resources. Every man that you help and you help build up helps build an organization up to a stronger level and makes it more competitive, because when it comes down to men, men compete. And men, when they go out to the workplace, they are looking to go someplace to try to make a commitment someplace so that they can build up their careers, build up their reputations, and then try to move not only the organization ahead, but move themselves ahead as they start working towards achieving the goals they want to pursue in their life. And this is something that, is one of the major disappointments for me for having a career, is that I always wanted the opportunity to go out here and try to build a solid career with one of these businesses. I always wanted to go out here and try to go out here and learn about a business while I was working at a business, but I never really got that opportunity. And the only way I ever learned about a business like publishing was I had to go out and learn it on my own. And I had to learn everything on my own without the support of another individual. And that was really sad, because I look at it at my experience with this American job market, and it's sad that I have all this talent and I have all this ability, but I can't share it with other people, because most people are sitting there going, "Oh, he's this, he's going to be taken advantage of," when they could take the opportunity and they could have taken the lead and they could have helped me move myself ahead instead of trying to be a stumbling block in my way. That's the way I always saw it. And if I ever saw another kid like myself who was 22 and looking for their first break, I would be open to giving that person a first break, because I understand that it takes a man to teach another man, and it takes another man to prepare another man for a place in the workplace and help them work towards the building blocks towards their career. Because at the end of the day, it's about a man preparing another man to enter the world of work, and it's about another man supporting that man, because maybe that man is not grateful today, but sooner or later in his career, he's going to look back at that other man who took that opportunity with him, and he's going to really thank that man for standing there and helping them take those first steps on that road down their career. If you'd like to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon by clicking the link in the description box. And if you want to try some of my SJS Direct publications that help men in the workplace, like Stop Simping in the Workplace or the Simp series books, you may do so by clicking the link to Amazon.com. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.